Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of On the Spot. This week's show is brought to you by EA's The Lord of the Rings, The Battle for Middle-earth. It's in stores now.
When?
It's in stores now, Ryan.
Right
Davis.
now.
So check it out. Ryan Davis, we have a great show today. We got Brian Eckberg here. Brian, how you doing?
Good, just doing great.
Brian will be playing World of Warcraft against you, the viewers, so hop online, find him right now. Brian, why don't you tell everyone where you are?
We are in Stormwind in the Valley of Heroes, and everybody's getting together, and we're going to go probably trash some spiders or something.
Your server, what server are you
We're on the Ner'zhul server.
Ner'zhul server, hop on there. You heard it, Stormwind, Valley of Heroes. Great, find him, run around. He's actually with about 5 GameSpot editors or so. It's a big posse. You'll have a good time. You'll see yourself live right here on the show. However, Ryan Davis, we have a great show today.
We do.
We have a great show. We're going to be playing some Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf multiplayer later on.
Certainly.
We're going to see an interview and presentation on the new Cell processor.
That's right.
And we'll be talking about what we want to see in the next generation of platforms. And we want to hear what you want to see. So if you're a GameSpot Complete member, use the form you see on the page right now. Say, hey, on my next console, I want, HoloVision. Make something up. If it's something good, we'll read it on the show. It'll be a lot of fun. Also, what else are we going to be doing? I will be teasing the Game of the Year coverage that you'll be seeing on the site very, very soon. But most importantly, Ryan, why are you here on the show and not Ryan McDonald?
I'm here because Ryan McDonald is not here. He's over in Japan right now for the launch of the PSP.
The launch of the what?
The PSP, the PlayStation Portable.
Oh, what's that?
Perhaps you've heard of it.
Maybe just a little bit. He's over there right now. That's right. Ryan is over there with Ricardo and Jeff, and they got their hands on the PSP. They flew over yesterday, landed at on Sunday or whatever it is.
I think they landed 3 days ago.
3 days ago. Yeah, the crazy time warp that you get with Japan. But they literally pretty much stepped off the plane, got their hands on the PSP, and here is what they had to say.
Konnichiwa. Hey man, this thing's not supposed to be out till Sunday. We got one now. Check this out.
In case you don't know, that's PSP.
All right, we're gonna go up to the room before we get mugged, and we'll show you some more of this stuff.
So this is it.
Cool. Let's see it.
We will. So we gotta tear into it. In case folks are curious, you got manual. It's in Japanese, so probably not helpful to us. We have a little slipcover case.
It's a picture of a horse in here.
Yeah, well. You have your really funky white strap. You have your crazy power cord, which we got here. And then here are your little earphones with a little clip and the little remote control stuff on. Then you have the hotness, which is the PSP. Go ahead.
All right.
Have some fun.
The basic format of the system as far as control goes is very much modeled after kind of the classic PlayStation format. You have your triggers up here. You have your standard 4-button configuration, the standard PlayStation style D-pad. The big addition here is this little disc. Now it sounds like, from what we've heard from developers, that this disc actually is not analog, though it certainly does feel like it when you're sliding it around. It's over here on the right side of the unit, and you slide it up and it'll start the unit up. From there it brings you right into the menu, and we already have this switched over to English, but it supports English and Japanese for menus. And you can basically slide around. It's got a few different headings, for photo, music, video. There are no videos. Got a little music on here though. This is turned all the way up. It sounds pretty good. Over here on the left side of the unit, you have the network switch. Basically, you can flip this up and turn on networking. And this allows you to connect wirelessly to other units or anything like that. And you can turn it off, and that presumably will save you some battery life. Also got some power save settings here. You can turn on some various auto sleep modes and backlight. Actually, it'll do 3 different levels of backlighting. This is the demo disc that comes with the unit. It just clicks right into place. Click it down, and it starts spinning up. and that gives you a boots right up.
And dude,
Wow.
dude, that is so cool.
Wow.
That is amazing.
I mean,
I'm so jealous.
We don't even see the games playing on that thing. Just looking at the hardware itself, it just looks amazing. It's just this little portable piece of candy. It's just the design and all the stuff that's in it. It's crazy. All the memory stick stuff, the networking stuff. I cannot wait to. They're selling it for like $185 in Japan. I've spent within the past week $185 on worst things.
Totally worst things. Like you can do a Best Buy binge of DVDs. And like that's half of that right there. But so hold off on those binges. You're halfway to a PSP.
Why do I have Sharky's Machine on DVD? Oh, I could have got a PSP.
What we were talking about before the show is that what I never bothered putting together, I guess in my ignorance of all equipment that is Sony, is that the disc, I remember when they first showed us the UMD at E3,
right.
They held it up there and it was just a little CD.
Little disc,
I was
yeah.
like, how are they going to expect us to, take care of this little CD? And then obviously I was an idiot and didn't realize that it's just going to be like that mini disc technology where it's in its own casing.
Little cartridge, right, although not quite as well protected.
However, yeah, talk about that. Basically,
there is a little gap in the back that, I mean, that's where it's reading through, and for whatever reason it doesn't have a slide or anything on it, and it seems kind of risky to me. Like, if anything got in there, like getting it out, we'll see. I mean, we haven't had a chance to get hands-on with it, but
right.
I'm just thinking like being able to take the cartridge apart or something to clean it, because if you get dust or grit in there, I can just see that grinding against the bottom of that disc. But still, that thing looks absolutely amazing. I'm very much impressed with what we're seeing on the PSP so
Right
far.
now, we're watching footage taken from that very PSP earlier this week by our Japanese correspondent. Now, was this on Talkman? I can't hear more on Talkman. Talkman is a game with this bird that teaches Japanese people how to speak English.
So yeah, obviously not going to be a U.S. release, but
I hope it is. I want to learn how to speak Japanese. If the PSP teaches me how to speak Japanese, I'll say right now I will buy one of them and another one for my girlfriend. Sure, we'll speak Japanese all the time. It'll be great. These games look really good.
We're going to have a lot more of this though coming up in the next few days. This is just a taste. The PSP doesn't actually technically launch in Japan until it's Sunday, which it's. Basically, yeah, you can expect to start seeing stuff this weekend from us, just coverage of the games and the launch, and I think it's going to be something real special.
We didn't send those 3 editors over there just to grab the PSP from our Japanese correspondent and then head back on the plane. They will be there for the launch. There will be plenty of video, plenty of articles, plenty of coverage of the launch of this amazing piece of portable hardware. And without further ado, let's hear some more from the guys over in Japan.
Okay, so just to give you an idea of kind of the size of the unit, the PSP is actually a little bit smaller than it seems, on camera and in photos. I know that at least that's kind of the impression I got from it. It looked like enormous.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason, because if you look at it like this, is just the fact that I don't think anybody's brain was quite ready for a screen that was this big on a portable unit.
Yeah,
The assumption was it had to be this big.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually not.
Just for comparison's sake, hold up a few different things. So, 4 gigs versus half a gig.
And don't forget the classics.
We even managed to dig up some mini disc. This is a re-recordable format that Sony came out with for music, and then eventually later on data. Lossy compression, kind of stupid, but obsolete when it came out. But they're actually pretty similar in size, except this holds 1.8 gigs and this holds probably like 400 megs, something like that. It's 74 minutes of audio compressed down. But the discs themselves, once you get through the case, actually pretty much the same size. So they obviously, took a few lessons from this and applied it to the UMD format, and that's interesting to see. The back of the UMD disc, you can get right to it. There's no slider or anything preventing you from licking the bottom of the disc or doing anything weird to it. So
you're going to want to take really good care of
Yeah, pretty much. They're treat them like CDs, I guess, is the lesson there. So you can actually use the PSP itself as a USB device to get things on and off of the memory stick. You basically just hook it up to the top right here, fire up the system, and in the menu there's a USB connection mode that when you go to that, the system will recognize it basically as if it were any other hard drive, and it has a directory structure for audio and video once you format the memory stick that you can use to dump things on and off. Now the value pack actually comes with a memory stick, and this actually little 32 meg one here that actually says PSP on it, which is cool. But I mean, 32 megs, fine for your save games, but once you start getting into MP3s and stuff, you want to move up a bit. This is a half a gig right here, which seems to be the largest one available. There are 1 gig sticks out, but they're full-length memory sticks, not these new duos. So I'd expect that a 1 gig would be out pretty soon if it isn't already. The memory stick actually just fits right into the side of the unit. It clicks right down in, and then if you want it out, you can spring it right out like that. If you don't want to use the PSP to connect this up, you can actually go out and buy a memory stick reader and just copy files, directly using this. We picked this one up down the street here for about 20 bucks. There are definitely cheaper ones available, but this one was shiny, so obviously it's the better choice. It's pretty impressive, I just wish we had some more games to play on it right now, but the system's launching pretty soon, and there'll be some games in stores. We will, of course, be here to cover that stuff, so stay tuned to the site, and let's go back to the studio. Rich.
Thanks, Jeff. And that, I am really jealous of you and wish I was in Japan right now playing with that PSP.
To echo his comments, that thing it is so much smaller than you really get a sense for in looking at screenshots and video of it. It's so tiny, and it's kind of mind-boggling that there's that much technology packed into it.
I think what showed it the most when we held it up next to the SP.
Oh yeah,
the GBSP. Like, I thought it was going to dwarf that, but
it's just a little bit bigger.
The SP is kind of small. I have problems with it, and the PSP, it looks like it's just, that screen is so huge and nice. And so send in your questions right now about the PSP, and we'll read them. Ryan, do you have a good question?
For the PSP?
Yes. I have one from Jorge and Corona.
Go for it.
All right. The PSP looks real nice, but with all the techie hardware stuff installed, would it be able to take a drop or a bump? He's wondering because he has children, and would he feel safe handing his children the PSP? I'm not sure that I would at this point. We haven't been stress testing it because we only have one. We don't want to see if it breaks if we drop it just yet. But one of the things I did notice was just that it seems like it's a really nice, compact piece of hardware, but it seems a little fragile. I mean, my impression of it. And the thing I was noticing when watching this video of the boys playing with it is how when they're handling it, that it seems like it smudges up really easily. That their thumbs the screen is so huge and it dominates the front of it so much. You can't help but get your fingers.
You can't help but get your fingers on it, and so it's kind of getting smudged up like that. So that doesn't really answer that question, but
I would say, to be honest, with any piece of hardware that I buy, I have a brother who is a mechanical engineer and 23 years old, and I don't trust him to hold anything that I spent money on. So maybe if you're a trusting father, sure, take the leap, buy a PSP, see what your kids can do with it, but I wouldn't. Ryan, you're saying you wouldn't either?
At this point, no.
All right.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't give a little kid GBA when it first came out either.
That's right. So yeah, wait till our hardware guys get a hold of it.
Test it.
Sergeant James will throw it against the wall. We'll see what happens. It'll be great. Take some shots at it. Do you have any other questions?
I've got nothing else for the PSP at this moment. No.
My question, James from Sydney, Australia. What's your opinion on the way the PSP handles and how does it feel? Unfortunately, they're in Japan. These are questions that hopefully will get answered, but it looks like they're having an awful lot of fun with it. It looks like it was fitting in both of their hands very easily. Jeff has big hands.
Jeff's got big man hands, so
they cruise through those menus really easy. I'm interested in why that's not an analog stick. That's like a disc.
The disc thing that it looks analog, but it's not actually analog. That seems kind of odd, but interesting that it's that they have something they have kind of a redundant digital control scheme on there, but we'll see how that actually works out. I mean, that's the thing, is that right now we are just looking at the hardware, and it is kind of abstract because we don't have any games to really mess around with at this point. So, but next couple of days we're going to get our hands on these launch titles. We'll really be able to check it out and see how it goes.
Luis in Los Angeles wants to go on the record saying the UMD will fail just like the mini disc did. Maybe as a media device, but I think the PSP will be okay.
I think
calling his shot now.
He's calling his shot right now. I don't know about you guys, but the new UMD sounds like a redesigned and beefed up mini disc.
I would agree. I think that is probably a pretty fair assessment of it. But then again, we haven't heard of any other devices that use the UMD. It's not like they are trying to introduce this as, you know, a new cross-platform standard just yet. If it catches on, maybe. I mean, I think it's going to be, if the PSP does really well and they see that sales of UMD-based like movies or music or whatever,
right.
if that stuff catches on, then you can be pretty sure that they are going to have to start introducing other devices.
If it catches on.
Exactly.
We'll see.
We'll see how the alternate media stuff works for the PSP.
Last one before we check in with Brian Miles from Sweden, who may hold the record as our most frequent submitter of information using the forum you see as a GameSpot Complete member on the page right now, where you can send in your questions. He was just wondering, is the PSP going to have different region settings like PAL versus NTSC?
Okay, again and again, what we've been told is that for stuff like films and music, that stuff will be region encoded. However, it is kind of up to the developers and the publishers as to whether or not the games themselves will be region encoded. Since it's not out anywhere yet, let alone in multiple regions, we can't really, you know, speak on how that's going to pan out.
But you will also notice that the video that we just saw, that the PSP that's being sold in Japan right now can be switched from Japanese to English.
Right, so it does have
that.
that.
So that speaks well, you know, there's hope for all of us, at least those of us who can speak Japanese or English. So we're set. Brian, tell us about World of Warcraft right now. Let's check in. We haven't seen the game in action
We're
just
rolling
yet.
around with several GameSpot editors around here in Forest Edge, and we have declared war on all level 5 wolves in the area. It is outright war.
Taking it to them.
That's
so
right.
you're in Elwyn, just outside of Stormwind. That's right.
That's right. And we got a lot of, like I said, a lot of GameSpot guys rolling around. I think we've got some readers as well. So we're all just rolling around the countryside and having a good time here.
Tell us a little about your character.
Oh, this pleases me to be able to talk about Beezle Bubba.
Beezle Bubba.
Beezle Bubba, my level 19 dwarf hunter. He's got a little best friend Vernon, who's his bear. And I love the hunter because it's a great class you can solo with, you know, because the hunter's a great solo character, and they work well in groups too. They play well with others. So, having a great time.
It seems like a pretty well-rounded character. Speaking of World of Warcraft, I actually have a question from Chad in Elgin, Illinois. Wants to know, in World of Warcraft, is there a significant difference with different classes on different races? To my knowledge, it's pretty much, there are a few race-specific classes, such as the Hunter is one of them. I believe only dwarves and night elves, and...
I think humans can maybe be...
I know that there are limitations on some of the classes.
Like Shaman, you can only be like a Tauren or an Undead, I believe.
Right. So there are limitations, but from my experience with the game, at least during I've had to go cold turkey on the retail. But I spent a lot of time in the beta test, and my experience was that between different races, there really was no appreciable difference in the. And so, I mean, the game balances really well. That's one of the real big strengths of World of Warcraft, is that there are all these different character classes across all these different races, and yet everyone still is pretty much fun and unique in their own way to play, and can still be effective either on their own or in a group. So it's pretty cool.
Now, it's not too late to join up with Brian. Brian, can you give some landmarks for people to find you? Or?
Yeah, we're right. Let's see. We're just south of Stormwind at Forest Edge. So if you can make your way to Stormwind, we're heading west towards Forest Edge.
And on which server are you?
We're on Ner'zhul.
Cool. And there are all kinds of GameSpot editors on there. It'll be a lot of fun to run around. Ryan, should we take a couple more questions real quick about the PSP?
Sure. You got something else?
I got 2 or 3 quick questions. Jeffrey in Brussels, can you save information on the UMD?
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no. I don't think it's
absolutely not. No, that's why they have the memory stick.
They have the memory stick. You can save stuff on there, plug in your computer just like a USB device, and that's fine.
Upload stuff to it, and that's a blast.
Great.
It seems like you can upload music, video, all sorts of fun stuff. So.
The Streets King from New York. The screen is huge, you're right, but it's kind of wide. You think this will affect gameplay? You know what I think it will affect, though?
In a good way.
In a good way. We're going to get some great widescreen gameplay on there. We'll see some great widescreen movies here on GameSpot coming very soon. You may have noticed our Crazy DS, very tall movies, but our wizard in residence, David Toole, has hooked you up, and soon you will see widescreen movies on GameSpot. No more black bars. It'll be great. And the final question, Andrew Fitzpatrick, Winchester, Kentucky. How much will the PSP cost?
They have not officially announced a U.S. price point yet, but I'm going to go unofficially and say, here's my theory at least, and this is just kind of going off the head. It's going for $180, $185 in Japan. Classically speaking, Japanese launches are more expensive than their U.S. counterparts. So that bodes well.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's 185 in Japan, I see it being lower than that. I see it being either on par or lower. So I mean, you're talking between 150, 200 bucks either way. That is a steal for what you're getting in that device.
And it's supposed to be coming out in March-ish. We're going to hear soon more official.
We're still waiting for more official price information, more official confirmed solid release date information. But it's that seems to be around the time range.
Very cool. So put like 20 bucks in the bank now. Interest rates are so great. You'll have plenty of money. Anyways, so all right. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, everyone, for writing about the PSP. Well, let's move on to the next generation of consoles. I want you to write in right now using the form you see on the page. Tell us what you want to see in the next generation of consoles. But right now, earlier this week, IBM came into the city of San Francisco and talked about their new processor, which we found in the PlayStation 3, the Cell processor.
The Cell processor.
Yeah, so let's hear what they had to say.
So the Cell processor project was actually a very interesting and challenging project. When we set out, we knew that we wanted to achieve new levels of performance, as well as create a processor that was going to be very responsive to people, the human users, and be very responsive to the network. Created a processor that is quite flexible, so it provides a lot of performance for media-rich applications, and it can be used in many different platforms. It has a multi-core design, a lot of computational performance. It has real-time aspects. So the synergistic processors really provide the bulk of the computational performance. And the power architecture core is the core that really provides the bulk of the control. It is the place where you would run an operating system, for example. The Cell processor is not a graphics processor per se, and it might not obviate the need for some graphics acceleration in the system. But what it does do is that longer term, everything, including visualization, is going to try and move as close to reality as possible. And as you move closer and closer to realism, your computation, the type of computation that you do, begins to look more and more like what you do on supercomputers. An example of this is that you can probably use the synergistic processors to do new types of visualization. And examples might be things like raycasting. That is not the way graphics processors typically create an image. But it is a way to create an image in a more physically realistic way, and the resulting image actually tends to look quite realistic. Yeah, so we haven't disclosed the number of synergistic processors in Cell at this point. We will show an implementation at ISSCC in February. I think it is important to point out, though, that because the architecture is targeted at a wide variety of platforms, it's quite possible that in the longer term you might see implementations with varying numbers of synergistic processors.
And we are back, and we have a ton of questions. Before we take those, Ryan Davis, I want to talk, and Brian as well, you can join in. I want to talk about the next generation of consoles. Our man Jeff Gerstmann wrote a really nice journal entry recently called Next, if you want to go looking for it, where he talked about some things he just wanted to see standard in upcoming consoles, like 480p support, 5.1 sound, 16.9 perspective ratio, shorter loading times, better custom soundtrack support, online play, voice chat. What do you guys want to see?
I'm going to agree with Jeff on all these points. I think that what we are seeing now is we're not going to see, this generation was when online really sort of became significant in the console arena. It doesn't seem like there is any other real core technology that is being introduced in this next generation. What we were saying, this is the refinement of what's already established. I think that having the online out of the box is going to be real important. I think that Xbox Live has pretty much set the standard for what we're going to want from online in our consoles coming in the future. I think that wireless controllers, I think that stuff like the Wavebird has really set a standard for being able to make the whole system seem less clumsy. I've got my Wavebird sitting on my coffee table, and then I've got all these cables that I run to my Xbox and my PS2, and I'm like tripping over them all the time. And it's just one of those simple, elegant things that I would love to see just standardized in the next generation.
Totally. Brian, you got anything you want to see?
Yeah, you know, as far as the online gaming goes, it's to the point now where we're almost it's a shame if a game doesn't have online.
Right.
It's a new standard. It's just going to have to be. A game that doesn't have online capability in the next generation, no matter the genre, is going to be a disappointment.
But even just like the online awareness, even stuff where it's Xbox Live, where it's the game itself is a single player game only, but you put the game in and it lets you know. I mean, the idea of the console being online all the time, I think, is going to be real critical in this coming generation.
Absolutely.
That and the potential that we've seen, although we're not sure what consoles will have hard drives coming up, but like when you see something like the Hurricane Pack being released and the Hurricane Pack 2 for Ninja Gaiden,
Right.
and that just shows that these games are so great, no one wants to stop playing them, and developers recognizing that and giving them more content. You can make expansion packs for PC games very easily. Can these next generation of consoles, keep bringing us added content like the Hurricane Pack? Are they going to move away from that?
Well, a company like Bungie, who's done so much with their online component on Halo 2, has really raised the bar for online games. And you could apply that same level of just obsessive detail to almost any online game that has that capability can benefit from that kind of really intense detail on the online part of the game.
Cool. Now, we asked for your input. We wanted to hear what you had to say, what you want to see in the next generation of consoles. Ryan, you got anything?
Our readers think so much more crazy, awesome stuff.
And that's what we've been talking about, like little fine tweaks.
We're so dry
we can't think of anything like Holovision, whatever.
All right, so we've got Grievous from California or Canada. Who knows? says, hey, what I really want for the next generation isn't necessarily a game, but an interface. I'd love to see HD visors with surround sound headphones. Using a visor would also make possible extremely effective 3D viewing as per Sharp's new technology, since each eye would have a dedicated screen.
Oh wow,
that sounds awesome.
See, that'd be good.
I want some Max Headroom stuff on my head.
Totally.
That sounds like Virtual Boy to me. I'm not so sure.
Whatever. Now, they don't ever go to like those old virtual reality arcades where they put you in the helmet in the big booth and you like played like a bad mech warrior against each other.
Yeah, no,
I had such a problem though. As you put on the helmet and like the screen was like down here, so I'd be looking down, and as I looked down, that made my robot look down. So I was always looking down.
Yep.
Anyways, all right, let's hear. You have anything else, Ryan? Something crazy?
Dedicated server software would make standard online for, or should be made standard for online console games. They're what drive PC online gaming. Matchmaking servers work to an extent. However, dedicated servers are really needed to help communities flourish. I think that what we are saying is that the server-side support is really going to be a factor. It has been a factor for Xbox Live. The fact that Microsoft has been able to create this sort of standard system. At first, everyone was really freaked out about all of these mandates that Microsoft was putting on for Xbox Live, like saying, if you're going to make a game for Xbox Live, it has to have these things. Everyone's like, well, that's really restrictive. But in the end, it's turned out it makes this really clean, consistent experience. Whenever you get on Xbox Live, you always know you can expect certain things. So I think we are going to see that kind of stuff grow, and I think this is a totally awesome idea.
I mean, honestly, I bought my PlayStation 2 a little late in the game, and why I bought it was so I could play Madden online with some of my friends around the country, and it's kind of unwieldy. You get like that weird menu system you have to go through, NADS or whatever, that pops up, and
not only
really intuitive.
I think you have to sign the EA agreement each time you log on.
And then even within, if you get games from different companies, then everyone has their own login system.
Right.
It's so transparent with Xbox Live. That's going to have to be a standard in the next generation.
Alfredo in Chicago says, I want more HD TV support, and Charles in Jacksonville, Florida says, I want games to support 720p widescreen for all titles. Now, isn't there supposed to be HD TV is supposed to be everyone's supposed to have it by 2006 or 2005 or something? Or
I don't.
That's a question for Roger.
I don't have it yet.
Sure. Well, anyways, I would like to see it, yes. And we're approaching this future, supposedly, where everyone will be watching TVs that are HD TVs.
I've got another one, Troy from South Surrey, British Columbia. He wants to see the upcoming consoles be region-free, which pretty bold request.
Sure.
I also want them to have built-in hard drives, DVD player capabilities out of the box, and the option that sort of expands upon the Xbox Live Arcade, where I can download my games directly from my consoles. Digital distribution. That, I think, could be a very important part of the next generation of consoles.
Like the Phantom?
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of Steam
right.
for the PC Valve's solution for
As long as,
distributing
they don't make,
Half-Life 2.
as long as they don't make it just like Steam, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, Steam is sort of like a first example. We could go on for hours about the issues with Steam, but we won't.
Mr. Chupon in New York City wants gloves like Minority Report. Totally. That was the best part of that entire movie.
So you want some Power Gloves?
He wants some Power Gloves. Yes, he does. I want them too.
That's the thing, is I still want the stuff that they've been trying to do for years. I mean, like the stuff that the iToy does still doesn't do it quite right, quite to the level that you want it to do. But that is the sort of stuff that people seem to really want from the future of gaming. So
to learn more about what we do know about the future of gaming, I say check out GameSpot Hardware. There are stories on the Cell processor. The San Jose Mercury News clocked it at 4.6 gigahertz, which is very, very fast.
Well, it's hard to say exactly what that means for the infrastructure. Different infrastructures, the megahertz accounts for different things, but that is still a very high number. That is higher than anything AMD or Intel currently has on the market.
Right. And NVIDIA, they made the graphics processor for the Xbox, and now they're working with Sony for the graphics chip for the next PlayStation console.
That's right, the jumping chip.
It's all kinds of crazy stuff. So stay locked on GameSpot Hardware and GameSpot News, and they'll tell you everything we know as soon as they can.
But you know what I love right now?
What do you love right now?
Robots.
I love robots too, Ryan Davis. Let's play some robots.
Let's play with some robots. Well, not quite robots,
but fine. But let's play some Mech Assault. You got that?
You know, this is
cool.
as close to robots. This is close enough for me.
What you're looking at right now is we're about to play some Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf. We'll get through the loading screen right now, and we are playing the multiplayer version. I think it might be up to 4 people split screen. I'm not sure. We're playing 2 right now.
We're going to play 2-player split screen. This is Grinder. We're playing it in New River City. And this is basically just a survival mode. It's co-op. It's not one-on. It's not versus. So we're going to be fighting some NPCs. So here we are in our.
Here we are now. I
suits.
am Rich on the left.
Pop out, and I am Rich.
We're in the army suits here. You can
hacking.
jump up. Right, look, that's me on the left. All right, now, if you want to get in a mech, though, you have to get out of your suit.
Watch the guy on the right.
Ryan Davis just totally got out of his mech, and I am hopping it. Where's my other? I like this one.
All right, let's go.
I'm going to get the mirror mech. All right, now this is a survival mode. So basically, the whole point is that we are going to be attacked by
here he comes.
Enemy mechs, and we must defend ourselves here. There's some nice look at the graphical damage. Oh, that's nice. All right, cool. Now let's actually go shoot.
You want to come help me out here?
No, I'm taking out. Look what I did to that building. I have totally got Godzilla right now.
Come on, help me.
Fine.
Help me fight this gray robot here.
That building was asking for it, by the way.
It totally was.
Oh.
Is that enough? Is that enough?
Oh, I got this.
Now there are
a ton of other multiplayer
modes, and there's also Xbox Live support.
Oh, we took that guy out.
Oh, that was easy. Oh, that's nice. That was a nice pretty explosion. That's
pretty
good.
good.
All right, who's next?
So,
as we were saying, there are destructible environments right now.
As was the case with the original.
Oh, what is this? It's my shield.
Oh, I'm gonna load that building over
Shield for suckers. All right, here you go. I'm gonna take out this guy.
We have another guy over here for it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into business. I'm gonna charge this real bad.
We've had this game on the show before when we played the single player, and it was a lot of fun. But I think this is where the game's going to be at.
The original Mech Assault was one of those first games that really kind of. It was actually one of the first Xbox Live games, period. This was the first Xbox Live game I really started playing. I'm going to shoot you.
Dude, I'm going to go change my mech.
Okay. It was one of those games that made people say, wow, got to have Xbox Live. And
totally. It made you forget that the game was,
The single-player game of the original Mech Assault was not so great. We'll wait and see how this one turns out for the review, but it seems that the multiplayer game will again be really good.
I don't know what this gun's going to do. Let's do something cool.
So if you like shooting robots, which who doesn't? Come on.
Oh gosh. We'll have more information on this game soon. You know what I liked was that first mech I had totally reminded me of Perceptor from Transformers with the big.
I'm gonna shoot you. I'm gonna shoot you.
Dude, don't shoot me.
Shoot your little human body.
All right. Now, unfortunately, I can't mech jack anyone because I'm out of my suit. But there you go. That's what Team Killer. Rich sucks puts Rich on ice.
That's what happens.
That was great.
Mech Assault 2,
Lone Wolf.
2,
it's a lot of fun.
End of the month, it's coming out. We'll have a review up soon enough.
This is the game that's coming out like 3 days after Christmas, I think December 28th or so.
Good timing.
So when you're returning your games that your aunt and uncle bought you that you didn't really want, look for this one.
I guess that's probably their angle. It would appear. So
and there's going to be a whole bunch of Xbox Live stuff for it. Look for more information on the site. It will be great. Now, Brian Eckberg.
Yes, sir.
How are things going on in the world of Warcraft?
It's going great. We're actually underground in the town of Moonbrook, I believe. We're in a dungeon and we're rolling and we're killing these miner guys, these Defias workers.
Oh no, you're killing the Defias.
Yeah, we're having a good time. It's a pretty good raid.
They're workers?
They're like workers, and we decided that this place didn't need to be mined anymore.
Okay.
Well, they're bandit miners. They're not good miners.
They're scurvy miners.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the Clerks paradox, where you're just fighting the stormtroopers who are just there to work and build the Death Star right now.
Yeah, they're
That's what
just
you're doing.
trying to make a buck, and we're ganking them with guns and stuff, you know?
They don't agree with the Alliance politics, so...
That's right.
History is written by the winners, I guess. Yeah, World of Warcraft. Now, you've been playing this game on the show right now for about half an hour or so.
Sure.
How much experience have you gained? How many monsters have you killed? What kind of progression have you seen in this half-hour play?
Well, I'm level 19 right now, but I was just below halfway to 20, and now I'm just above halfway to 20. Obviously, as you get further along in the game,
it's harder to gain
it takes a little bit longer to level up. But I've made some good progress here, mainly because I'm letting everyone else do the work, and I'm talking to you guys and reaping the benefits.
But you're making you're doing a couple of bars for a half hour's time of play. When you compare to other games of this type, other MMORPGs, making this kind of progress in that much time is pretty good, especially at this level.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the game. You can spend 30 minutes with it or 15 minutes with it.
You haven't /played yet, have you?
No. Let's try it out.
Let's see how much time you've put in so far.
This might be embarrassing.
I'm
let's
curious
see
to
here.
see,
/played.
One day, 21 hours, 36. So of solid play time.
You've only played this for 2 whole days?
Minutes, 57 seconds. Almost 2 days.
And
solid.
how long have you had this game?
I've had it for 2 weeks or so.
2 weeks. So 2 days of the last 2 weeks have been spent playing World of Warcraft.
And believe me, my wife knows that.
That is impressive.
All right, so another thing here, I've got a question from a reader.
Do it.
All right.
That's what the show's all about.
Mark from Denton, he says he read an insider's report, and he puts that in quotes, on the PS3's graphical capabilities, and they used Madden as an example. The insider claimed that Madden will look indistinguishable from real life. How feasible do you guys think this claim is?
That sounds like a question for our sports editor, Brian Eckberg.
Brian Eckberg.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen those screenshots, and they look amazing, but, we all see screenshots before a console launches, I
have 2 things to say on this. One, they claim that it's going to be lifelike and realistic, photorealistic every generation.
Right.
This is not a new claim. It certainly is going to look better, but whether it's going to look photorealistic, I have serious doubts. But secondly, the stuff that whenever we see demos of these hardware, the upcoming hardware, before it comes out, it always looks so much better than anything you see when the hardware actually hits. I mean, the stuff that we're seeing on the PS2 now maybe looks about as good as those PS2 demos that were being shown before the PS2 show came out.
Sure.
And I think that this is probably going to repeat itself, that the stuff that we're seeing, these stills, and then the video that we first see, I always recommend people take this stuff with a grain of salt. The first things you see, very conceptual. This is not going to be representative of what the products that originally first launched with the hardware. So
you know what I'm excited to see,
What are you
to be honest, with the next generation of consoles? I'm not excited to see the first games that come out. I'm excited to see the last games that come out, because here we are. Burnout 3 came out this year. Great looking game. Paper Mario, great looking game. When they figure out the tricks to the consoles, Metal Gear Solid 3, and these are the games they release. Sure, when they first get the new toys to make the new games, those will look great. But when they figure everything out, those games are going to be amazing.
I tell you, I can't actually believe that we are coming up on a new hardware generation right now. That 2005 is going to be the year of new hardware, and also probably into 2006. But that seems so soon to me, and I really don't. I personally, I could keep playing Xbox games for several more years, and I've heard developers talking and publishers talking that they aren't going to drop their support for the Xbox, PlayStation 2 the way that they did, like the PlayStation in the last generation.
Right.
So it's yeah.
Cool. That's great. Now, we have one last segment for you here on the show. We've been talking about some great games today, and there's been a lot of talk about great games going around the office because internally there have been many, many debates over the upcoming Game of the Year awards, which will be coming out on the site soon this month.
That's right. Over the break, we're going to have the Game of the Year.
You called the break. They don't know when we go on break. It's going to be like the last 2 weeks of the month or
their
so.
break.
Yeah,
Well,
their break.
that's right, yeah.
Everyone deserves a little time off at the end of the year. And this year, 2004, has been an amazing year for games. There have been great games across the board.
I honestly cannot recall another year with so many just top shelf games coming out. There's never, I mean, in my years working in this business, that there's never been just the quantity and the quality has never been this high.
Like it seems like you can like pick a genre and a platform, and there's just a ton of great games right there in that niche for you that you can just argue about back and forth all day. Correct?
That's absolutely, and one of the big ones was the PC shooter this year.
That's right. PC action games, huge, huge, huge. And just so you remember, here is a little segment with various GameSpot editors talking about 4 great action games for the PC. Check it out.
Farcry, it kind of took people a little bit by surprise. Towards the end of its development cycle, people are starting to pay a lot more attention because, the graphics engine in that game is just amazing. You get up on a hill, you're on these tropical islands, you get up on a hill, you can literally see for what seems like miles.
Far Cry's cool, man. It's a hero with a lion shirt shooting genetic experiments, man. Bad guy named Krieger. That's awesome, man. What more do you want?
Doom 3 is technically stunning.
I still think it's the best looking game out there, period.
Doom 3, once again proves that id Software is totally at the top of its game as far as just making your computer do completely insane stuff in terms of graphics. Unreal Tournament 2004 is just practically perfect. I mean, that game, I can't imagine someone being disappointed with what that game had to offer.
That game is just one of those games that really typifies what a PC first-person shooter is all about. It's really fast-paced. The weapons hit hard. They're really satisfying to use.
And it just came together as basically the biggest and best multiplayer shooter ever made. That game is just totally phenomenal and stands to be played just for many months, if not years.
And then Epic has supported the game just in an amazing way over the course of 2004 with just really encouraging the map and mod making communities with various contests that have sponsored. So they put a lot of energy and then sponsorship money behind that to just really drive creativity and just a whole bunch of user-made content.
Considering like all the delays and disappointments, I think it really delivered on a lot of the promise that it was supposed to have.
Well, Half-Life was one of the greatest games I've ever played. Half-Life 2, it's a very faithful follow-up. It's technically amazing too. Probably, in my opinion, the best looking game of the year.
It's kind of a cross between like George Orwell's 1984 and War of the Worlds. So it really has its own kind of unique flair to it, and it's really creepy and really cool, both at the same time right from the start. So yeah, the first half hour of that game is just totally amazing, and it kind of turns into, a first-person shooter after that, but the whole time you feel kind of really impressed by just the detail in the surroundings and what's going on in this crazy world, and you just want to know more about what's really happening here. There are just so many mysteries in the game.
And it's time for us to wrap it up. Those are 4 great games. Everyone should be playing all of them regardless of who wins what and who says those games are going to win anything, because there are plenty other great games out there.
Yeah, no, it's again, gotta repeat myself. Great year for games, great year for PC action games. All genres, everywhere. It's been amazing.
Some long discussions.
It has. There have been some long, heated discussions over the past few weeks. And if you stay tuned to the site, through the end of the month, we'll have be rolling out our best and worst awards.
Cool. So let's wrap it up. You got some good questions here.
I got a few more questions. I got a question here from Brinkman in Columbus, Ohio. Wants to know if the PSP can play Divx movies on the memory stick. As far as what Sony has said officially, it's going to be able to play MPEG-4 video, and I don't anticipate seeing any sort of support for Divx on there.
You never know what the crazy wizards of the internet are going to figure out if you let them use it as a USB device.
Yeah, there is that possibility. We'll see. I honestly believe that they'll probably stick to. I mean, it was a coup when they announced that it would support MP3 formatted music and not just their own 8-track weird funky stuff. So
Matthew Miles, Woodbridge, Virginia says, I would like to see that myself be put in the game, and I think that is a great idea. We saw a little bit with like Tony Hawk's Underground where you could get your picture,
face mapping,
all that's kind of cool. The iToy, we're seeing a lot more interaction between users and the games. Wouldn't that be great if finally for a Madden game or for any sports game in general, Brian, that you would be able to actually create yourself and your friends in the game without just, like, Brian has brown eyes, so my cornerback has brown eyes and I'll name him Brian.
It's like the first thing I do when I get an NBA game is I create all my friends and put us on the like at Hawks or something, and there's some games that get pretty darn complex with their create a player character, like Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
But that would be great. That's a really attractive thing to me. I love to think that I could actually roll with like LeBron and those guys, even though there's no possible way that could ever happen.
Well, right. Scott W. in Pittsburgh, for what he wants out of next generation hardware, wants to be able to rent games via the interweb. Totally, I think that being able to download and try out your software before you actually pay for it is a great idea, or just time-limited access to the games would be fantastic. Wireless controllers should also be standard. With you, Scott.
Totally, and that is another PC innovation right there, being able to try out games, demos over the internet and everything, and just bringing that to consoles, it sounds like.
Take the best parts.
Yeah, why not? Let's see. Michael Marcinko of Warren, Ohio, has a question about Fight Night in the next Fight Night game. Ryan McDonald is our in-house boxing expert, so you come back next week. I'm sure Ryan will have plenty to say. Fight Night Round 2 is the working title right now. That just got announced for the first time. And come back next week, and you'll hear all about Fight Night Round 2, as well as the PSP, because they'll be back.
We'll have it.
They'll bring it back.
We'll have it.
And I'm totally going to the airport.
We'll have our banner waiting for them. Totally. Welcome home, PSP.
That'll be great. Now, finally, we're wrapping up the show. We're going to give away some good stuff. Before we do, last week we were awarding 1 million copies of TAC 2 and The Incredibles. We'll be announcing the winners next week on the show, or you'll just be getting the mail before we do. But what I can tell you is the winner of the Grand Theft Auto BMX bike, the question was, later in the game, James Woods' character needs you to steal something. The answer was, we got a lot of answers that were correct, but they didn't get the name right. The name was the Hydra. It's a Harrier jet. Sorry, I ruined it for you. Whatever. But Andrew Sable of North Royalton, Ohio, you won yourself a bike, Andrew, and it will be coming your way very soon. Now, this week, we have the giveaway. I'm sure we'll get some nice glare off these. I have right here the official movie poster for Star Wars Episode 3.
The teaser.
This is he's got a scar, so you can tell he's hard. Look, and there's Darth Vader's face and his cape right there, and you can tell it's a real movie poster because it's reversed on the back, so you can shine light through it like a real movie poster.
Yes, helmet. Two-sided.
Now, what poster I like better though is the one you have right
We've
there.
We've got this one here. It's the Lego Star Wars poster, which looks totally excellent.
This game looks really cool.
This is one of the coolest looking Star Wars games coming out for a while. So.
And I'm going to give these away right now. Now, we had Star Wars questions on the show before when we gave away Star Wars Battlefront, and I was very upset at how several of you answered these questions. So if you want these two posters, I want you in the forum right now. Someone keeps asking Ask GameSpot. Yes, the forum you see, the GameSpot Complete, where it says submit your question. Put your full name, your full mailing address, and I want you to type the following phrase. Han shot first. Put that in there. The first person to do so successfully won themselves an official Episode 3 poster and the Lego Star Wars poster. We'll send them right off to you. It'll be a good time. Anyone have anything final to say? Brian, how's World of Warcraft? Playing with everyone?
I'm now sitting. I've been dancing for a while as well.
Ryan, anything?
I have to say that the look that we've gotten at the PSP has just made me that much more excited for this thing. I cannot wait for the launch this weekend. I cannot wait till the guys get back. I get to get my hands on one myself. I haven't actually touched one yet, so I am just getting more and more excited about this thing with every passing moment.
I got my hands on like the fake one at E3 where you weren't allowed to pick it up.
I didn't even get that. I haven't got anything. I haven't even seen it. I haven't even seen it in person.
I did see that. I'm sorry, it was a lot of fun. It was really, you missed out on it. Anyways, so thank you, Brian and Ryan, for coming by. Thanks to everyone in Japan for sending out stuff, and stay tuned to the site for more information from Japan. Thanks to all of our very patient and very competent crew who did a great job today, and thanks to all of you for watching. We'll catch you next week right here on The Spot.